If you're a triathlete who likes things done properly, then this episode might make you feel a little uncomfortable. And that's not a bad thing, because right now, a lot of triathletes are using AI, things like ChatGPT or nutrition apps to tell them what to eat. And I totally get why. It's fast, it looks personalized, it looks like it should be right, and it promises to take all of that guesswork out of your nutrition. But a question that I want you to sit with is, are you actually confident that what it's telling you to do is actually right for you? Not 50% confident, not even 80% confident, but 100% confident that your nutrition is supporting your training, not quietly working against you. Because what I see all the time is apps and AI will get you some of the way there, maybe halfway, maybe 60% of the way, maybe even 80% of the way if you're lucky. But to be honest, triathletes aren't 80% people. You don't train for 3 sports, invest hours every week, and chase performance metrics on the daily just to sit in this grey zone wondering if your nutrition is actually good enough with what you're doing. And this is where I see things just fall apart. AI and apps that tell you what to eat don't know how you slept last night, don't know how heavy your legs are feeling on your long runs at the moment. They don't know how sore you are after training. They don't know how stressed you are at work or how cooked you are mentally. They don't know if you're running on 5 hours of broken sleep, juggling family life, or dealing with work drama. And really importantly, they don't know anything about your relationship with food, your hunger signals, your cues, and how you actually feel when you're following its advice. And it definitely doesn't know when you're edging towards underfueling. So if you don't have the education to recognize when something isn't actually right, you are still just guessing, just probably with a nicer interface. Because your nutrition has to work in real life, not on paper, not on your phone. So in this episode, I want to talk about how AI and nutrition apps can actually be useful, where they commonly fall short for endurance athletes, and why confidence doesn't come from being told what to eat and when. It comes from actually understanding what you need and why. I'm also going to share a real example from one of my long-term athletes who trialed a nutrition platform that looked really sexy on the surface, but it was significantly underfueling him. And the only reason he knew something was off was because he had the education behind him to recognize that it was off. So if you're currently using AI to be your nutrition, no judgment here, or an app that tells you what to eat and when, or generic plans from the internet, and you're still quietly unsure whether your nutrition is truly right for you, then this episode is for you. Because being told what to eat is not the same as knowing and understanding why. You need the confidence to know that things are working when they are. Definitely need to know when they're not working, and know how to adjust without second guessing yourself. Let's get into it. Now, before we get into this episode, I do want to be really clear about something. Triathletes aren't using AI or nutrition apps because you're lazy or you're clueless. Triathletes are using them because they're busy, they're time poor. We bloody love technology and are generally early adopters, and you are trying to do things right. All the triathletes that I work with are high performers in life as well as in our sport. They've got full-time jobs, families to wrangle, training plans to follow, races to prep for, and very little time and brain space left over. So of course, something that promises fast answers and ready-made plans is appealing. A lot of triathletes use tools like ChatGPT or nutrition apps because they want something quick and easy that saves them time. They want structure without having to overthink everything that they put into their mouth. They want macro targets or meal plans laid out for them, just like your training program. Tell me what to do and I will do it. I completely understand that. And that is one of the reasons why I love working with triathletes, because you listen when I tell you to do something. And a lot of my Triathlon Nutrition Academy athletes are leveraging the power of AI to make their life easier. In fact, I've actually built some AI tools to help making eating for 3 sports so much easier for them. But where things start to unravel is when those generic or algorithmic answers need to be applied to a very non-generic human. N equals 1. You are the sole subject in your experiment of life, and your nutrition should be personalized to you. So if you want to understand what I mean by that, go back 2 episodes and listen to my episode on N equals 1. Because this is where I see a lot of triathletes just get stuck. They get a plan or a set of numbers, but they don't actually know how to translate that into their real week of training, of work, of poor sleep, of stress, of travel, of sickness, whatever it is. And when something doesn't work, when your energy levels drop, gut issues pop up, or training starts to feel harder than it should, they don't know what to adjust to get out of that hole. They're left thinking, is this me? Am I just not disciplined enough? And is this just what training as a triathlete is meant to feel like? This is the danger zone. Because at this point, the tool hasn't failed them. The lack of understanding around it has. Let me give you a real example of how this can play out in practice. One of my long-term triathletes, who is very experienced, very motivated, and very invested in doing things properly, trialed an AI-driven nutrition platform that told him exactly what to eat day to day. On the surface, it looked awesome. The numbers looked sensible, the meals looked balanced, it looked polished, it looked professional, and it felt very reassuring. But very quickly, he started to notice that things just didn't feel right. His energy levels weren't there, training felt heavier than it should have, recovery wasn't lining up to the work that he was doing. And here is my key point. The only reason he recognized something was off was because he had the education to identify it. He knew what underfueling felt like. He knew what warning signs to pay attention to. And he knew that the way he was feeling wasn't just part of being a triathlete, because he has experienced what proper fueling feels like for his body. And so when we looked at it together, it was really clear that despite how good it looked on paper or on the phone, he was being significantly underfueled for the training load that he was actually doing. If he hadn't had that foundational knowledge and access to me to run it past a real human, he would have assumed that that platform that he was trialing was right and that his body was the problem. He would have pushed through it like we all do. He would have normalized just feeling flat. And he would have accepted that just as the cost of training as a triathlete. And that's the part that really does concern me, because this is exactly how athletes end up stuck, thinking that they're doing everything right, while their performance, their recovery, and or their health is slowly declining. And I just want to zoom out on that for a second, because this just isn't one athlete example or one platform example. This is actually a real issue. Being told what to eat is not the same as knowing how to fuel yourself properly and why particular strategies are important and when to leverage them. An app and AI can tell you exactly what's on today's meal plan. AI can spit out macros, calories, a race plan, food ideas, whatever you ask it to, it will provide an answer. But neither of them teach you how to interpret that answer, whether it's correct or not for you, and what your body is telling you as a result of implementing that strategy. They aren't going to teach you how to adjust when your training volume ramps up, your sessions get harder or feel harder, your sleep takes a hit, life stress creeps in, your appetite changes, you're mentally struggling, or your body, depending on what phase of life you're in, just starts responding differently to training and nutrition. And that is the gap in these things that I'm seeing just over and over and over and over. Technology still can't replace a brain that critically thinks yet. So triathletes end up outsourcing their thinking. It's making us more dumb. They follow instructions. They don't build understanding. They comply with the plan because they're really bloody good at that, but they don't gain confidence. And when something changes or a spanner gets thrown in the work, as it always does, they feel lost and don't know what to do about it and potentially just throw it all out because it's all too hard. Because without that education and knowledge, you don't know which dial to turn. You don't know if you need more carbohydrate, better timing, more total fuel, or simply better recovery habits. You don't know what is a normal training response and what's a red flag. And you don't know whether to trust the tool or trust your body. And so instead of adjusting, triathletes just push harder. We tighten things up. We assume that we just need to be more disciplined. And that, my friend, is how poor nutrition quietly becomes normalized. Not because it's the right strategy, but because no one ever showed them how to do it properly for your body, your physiology, your lifestyle, and what to look for when things are going well or maybe not so well. And this is where education changes everything. Because when you're educated, you are not blindly following instructions. You understand how to adapt when training or life changes. And you start to understand what enough actually looks like for you, how different sessions need to be fueled differently, how recovery should feel when your nutrition is doing its job, and what early signs you need to look for before things completely derail. And I think this is where having a real human involved matters. One of my athletes, Katie, summed this up perfectly in a recent Power Hour. She said, "It's so good having you on tap, Taryn." And that is not because I tell her what to eat every second of every day. It's because she can ask questions. She can sanity check decisions. She can say, "This doesn't feel right. This feels a bit weird. This feels off. Can we talk it through? I'm thinking about adding in a strength session here. How do I adjust my nutrition on that day to best support it?" And that kind of individualized support is where the nuances live, because nutrition is not static. Training blocks change, life happens, stress fluctuates, sleep sometimes just goes out the window. And when that happens, you don't need another algorithm, you need some context. You need understanding about you and your life. You need someone who can help interpret what's actually going on and provide direction to adjust accordingly. That's the difference between just following a plan and building a plan that is specific to you, so you actually know what you're doing. And this is really the whole point that I wanted to land with this episode. AI and apps can be absolutely useful tools. I am not arguing against that at all, as somebody that uses them personally. Used well, they can save time, they can reduce admin by a truckload, and make execution on ideas so much easier. But tools only work properly when the person using them knows what they're looking for. And education is what takes you from 80% to 100%. It is what gives you the confidence to know when something is working and when it's not. It's what allows you to question an output instead of blindly trusting it, which is so important in this era. And it's what lets you adapt it to training, to life, to your body changes, your physiology. And that is exactly why the Triathlon Nutrition Academy exists. It is not a meal plan. It is not a set of rigid rules. And it's definitely not being told what to eat every minute of every day for the rest of your life. It's about giving you the knowledge and frameworks to fuel yourself properly for 3 sports, so you are no longer guessing, second guessing, and outsourcing your thinking to a robot. You will learn exactly how to fuel different types of training sessions, adjust your intake as your training load changes, recognize early signs of underfueling and or overfueling, and make decisions that work for you in your real life. And once you have that foundation, tools like AI or apps can become super helpful because you know how to sense check them. You know when something's off or something's not right. You know what to tweak. and you're not relying on an algorithm to understand your body better than you do. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I'm doing a lot right, or I think I'm doing it right, but I'm not 100% confident that my nutrition is truly dialed in, then that is a gap. And that gap isn't filled by AI or an app. It's filled with knowledge and it's filled with education, because nutrition has to work in real life, not on paper and not on your phone. Here's where I want to leave you. If you're relying on AI, apps, or generic plans to tell you what to eat, and you don't have the confidence and the knowledge to question them, to adjust them, or override them when they're wrong, then you're still not actually in control of your nutrition. You are just following another plan and some instructions and hoping for the best. And for a sport as demanding as triathlon, that is not good enough. High performance mindset triathletes don't leave things like that to chance. They don't train blindly, and they don't accept it's probably okay or it probably works as a strategy. They invest in understanding exactly what's going on and how to optimize performance. If you're serious about your training and your performance and your long-term health, then getting to 100% confidence in your nutrition is not optional. It is part of the job. And that's exactly what the Triathlon Nutrition Academy is designed to do. It's where you stop outsourcing your thinking to AI. It's where you stop second guessing every decision. And it's where you learn how to fuel yourself properly for 3 sports in real life with real training and real constraints. So if this episode has hit a little bit of a nerve for you and you're wondering whether your nutrition is actually right, then it's time to do something about it. Head to dietitianapproved.com/academy and register your interest in our upcoming cohort of the TNA program. Do not wait for another training block, another season to go by, and hoping things are just magically going to click for you. Get yourself educated, get 100% confident, and fuel properly like an athlete who actually knows what they're doing with nutrition. I'll see you on the inside.